Hey guys, it's the Conic, and in this video I wanted to showcase the medium budget of the Forge Frostbearer build. The video would have been out earlier, but I had quite the busy week between IRL commitments and just playtesting the build till I was confident it was ready for you guys. And I also wanted to see if POB's numbers were accurate, and came to the conclusion that I think it's trustworthy. It might be a bit off, but I think for the most part it's around the same ballpark, so you can trust the numbers. Before we get into the rest of the video, I do want to address a question I have been getting a lot in particular, which is if the Frostbearers are viable for higher budget investment and endgame content. And the simple answer is yes, they do. Being a playstyle with less minions, you do have the downside of having like less bodies to block projectiles and such, but we are using the perfect warlord with a mid shield support. So between that, the Soul Eater, which gives him more AoE, he alleviates this issue a lot by just taunting entire packs of enemies with his sweep and leap slams, while just being an absolute tank that has insane regen and of course provides endurance charges. And then damage wise, the Forge Frostbearer do basically the heavy lifting with just shotgunning projectiles. The biggest downside of going pure specters with the Forge Frostbearers is after you complete the upgrades in this video, the path to higher budget then becomes very expensive. That said, I have done all non-Uber content with this budget, including T17s and a Deathless Serious Fight and Beard, both of which are fights I had never previously done and basically went in blind, save like with the Serious. I had watched a video like 4 months ago and I never did a fight, so do with this information what you will. They do also have some other disadvantages where, like for example, they have a flee mechanic in their AI, so there are going to be situations where if you convocate them into a pack, they're going to try to run away rather than doing DPS. So long as you like try to avoid convocating them right in the center of like enemies, and you just kind of let them hover on the outskirts, you shouldn't have any issues in most content. And then upgrading from the low budget to this medium budget has a lot of moving parts, but I will be doing my best to simplify the important pieces to get going and how you can potentially save a few divines here and there in the upgrades. Before we get started, I'd like to point out the loadout section, which is the best way to move from page to page, as it switches the skill trees, the skill sections, and the item section in one click. The default, which is the loadout section, is basically up here, and you can see we're currently on default. But if we switch to FNF Plaguebringer, it switches here. You see all these numbers have changed because they also switch the skills and also switch the items with what I have set up. So the differences between these two is the default uses a more offensive approach to using Plaguebringer and Spirit Offering to maximize crit chance and just minion damage and AoE overall, while the second one is a bit more expensive in the sense that it uses a Forbidden Flesh and Flame Plaguebringer to keep the AoE and more damage and reduce damage, and just goes Mistress of Sacrifice a Bone Offering to really get close to block cap, or at least to cap it, and as the case may be. The difference between them is that, as you can see here, the DPS for this second one is lower, but the EHP goes higher, and then the first one is just, it's less tanky, but it has a lot more damage. It's sitting at 16.1 currently DPS. This one, like I said, uses Spirit Offering, uses Plaguebringer. If you don't have FNF Plaguebringer, you can still go either option, and you can still go this version without going Spirit Offering if you really also want that extra block chance. But just keep in mind, Spirit Offering is a decent chunk of damage. So going from the low budget into the medium budget, the first thing you want to pick up is your Wraith Lord, which would increase your Spectre count from 3 to about 7, and then stop you from being able to use other minions. Now, out of these 7 minions, 6 of them should be Frostbearers, and 1 of them should be a Primal Crush Claw, which you can get from Blue Harvest nodes if you are in SSF, or you can just ask on Global 6666. The reason we go for Primal Crush Claw is it applies a debuff to the enemy for 6 seconds, which applies 20% increased cold damage taken. Then you can also raise this number to 8 and 9, like as the spectre count number. By the first one would be by getting to level 25 gem, and that you can get by getting a +2 Raid Lord. You can get a +1 shield, and I believe you would still be using the Bones of Allure, which would have +1 Ray Spectre. And of course, a level 21 Spectre gem should get you to level 25 Ray Spectre. And the final one comes from the body armor. This is a Delve mod +1 max number of Spectres. I will be talking about how to craft this more in details in a later video, but the TLDR is you want to find a base with +1 Spectres and good prefixes. Then prefixes cannot be changed, reforged physical until you hit a high tier physical damage reduction. Keep in mind that you cannot find this physical damage reduction mod unless you use a chest piece with armor or hybrid armor base. So think armor ES, armor evasion type deal. If at any point your suffixes are full, you can always apply Eta influence greater than what you have for Exarch and use an Eldritch Annal to create space, and then go for prefixes cannot be changed again. Now to go back a bit to how we get the level 25 gem in the Bitter Dream setup, if you remember, it's the 2 in helmet, 1 in shield, 1 in boots, and then level 21 gem. You want to also level up or buy the supports and Ray Spectre gems you would use with your Hungry Loop setup, just to get a head start on it in case there is no support gems on the market or they're too expensive. And once you have your 9 Spectres, you want to pick up the Perfect Warlord, and then you drop Enduring Composure, as he will be your new source of endurance charges. And as a bonus point, he also provides those endurance charges to your Spectres, so they are less likely to die going forward. You then want to, like I said, move your support Spectres to the Hungry Loop and then summon your Perfect Warlord with that one in particular. To differentiate the Ray Spectre gems for the Hungry Loop and your main gem, look at the letters at the side. The one in the Hungry Loop should have less letters which represent support gems. Do keep in mind that you want to actually leave your Primal Crush Claw in your main link setup and not on the support Spectre setup, just because it benefits a lot more from all the cold support gems than the Perfect Warlord does. Next, you want to craft your +1 Spectre chest and sync link it to whatever method is the cheapest, and then you want to move your Spectres into the chest piece and then pick up a wand with plus levels, minion damage, and space for a trigger craft. If you want to be really cheap like I was, you can pick up a +1 wand with minion crit or cast speed, and then 2 open suffixes and 1 open prefix. Then what you want to do is you want to bench craft the can have up to 3 crafted modifiers meta craft, and then bench craft minion damage and the trigger. From here, your next goal is going to be replacing your amulet with an Alzor Prizing, which provides free zealotry, determination, or even purity of elements. So pick whichever one is cheapest and go for that one. After which you can pick up your charisma anoint, and once you do this, you can start using zealotry and precision. But in between, when you get the amulet and charisma, if you are not, flush with cash, what you can do is you can actually keep a level 1 to like level 3 precision and run zealotry alongside that, and just keep that precision low level until you do get your charisma. Then once that's done, you can level it up to 20. And if you have done everything correctly up to this point, then congratulations, you can do all non-Uber content, and potentially even Uber content, depending on how good you are at managing the mechanics that can kill your minions. Next up, we're going to briefly touch on the item section. You ideally want either pure armor bases for all your gear or armor ES hybrid, but keep in mind that if you get full armor chest piece, it is going to be very difficult to get as many blue and green sockets as we need for our links, as we do not use a single red socket. Now for a bit of tutorial for using the Hungry Loop. The Hungry Loop is a ring that comes without any gem mods by default, but it can eat, in quotes, 4 support gems that are level to 20 whilst inside the ring. So you would want to either level up the gems yourself or buy a fully experienced level 19 gem from the trade website. Do be careful, as once a gem is level 20, it cannot be eaten by the ring, and the same goes for corrupted gems. So confirm it is full experience at level 19 and uncorrupted before you buy it. Quality makes, to my knowledge, no difference in this situation. You are not going to have a 20% quality gem in the ring. Once you have the support gem, all you have to do is drop the gem inside the ring, hit the level up button, and the ring will eat the gem. The gems you would want in your ring are Feeding Frenzy, Calling Strike, Bone Chill support, and Meat Shield support. This about covers everything you will need to know to get going. I'm currently working on the high budget POB and will likely be upgrading to it myself over the next few days on stream. So you can expect a video of it coming once all of that is done. And as I said earlier, I should also be making a video on some of the crafts I use to reduce the upgrade cost, like the chest piece or the cluster jewel. So keep an eye out, as that would probably be out in the next couple of days. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the video. If you have any suggestions or feedback about the build, feel free to also leave that down there as well. If you haven't already and you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like below, as it helps massively with the algorithm. With all that said, thank you for watching.